Thank you so much for being here. I am so happy to see you again. This is our um, first session together, which I'm hoping to become a series because I want us to inspire female entrepreneurs and young entrepreneurs looking to enter the tech startup ecosystem, especially when it comes to agriculture, biotechnology, and software as well as hardware. I know that your experience really inspired me since the beginning, especially since our first meeting. And to our viewers, Anna and I met when we were in Tenerife, working remotely as digital nomads. And we immediately clicked, even though we're from the same country, from the same city. This is why we've gathered today together. And I want you to talk about your experience today in the ecosystem, supporting women entrepreneurs and supporting startups, especially when it comes to their legal strategy. So thank you again for being here, and I'm happy and excited for our conversation.
First, let me tell you thank you for inviting me. I listen to your podcast. I know the quality behind it. I know the work that you put behind it. So thank you very much for making me part of it. I know it's going to be even bigger than it is today. So I'm honored to be here today.
That's the goal.
As you mentioned, it's incredibly interesting how people meet at various times just coincidentally and after all the life goes around them.
Yeah.
When we met in Tenerife, I think 2 years ago,
Yeah.
we were not even thinking that we will be here today in Bucharest.
This huge step forward. Like,
If, if you remember, I think I was giving a legal training at the
yes.
co-working space there, and you were standing next to me, and at the end, you're like, oh my God, you're from Romania. Oh yeah, I'm from Romania. Amazing, let's go sushi.
Yes.
And that's how it all started. And I think in tech, in the tech industry, it's exactly like this. You can find a lot of amazing people. You just have to be there to open your eyes, to be available, and to, to want to live life happening around you. Because tech, it's full of amazing people. You just have to open your eyes and be open to receive.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the most amazing things that can happen in this ecosystem for startups and for innovators when you're open to meeting people authentically and accepting the moment that they are in, which is what happened for us. And what is something that I realized that I enjoy doing is bonding with people over food. So since this is the AgriAlly initiative, we're focusing on agri-food, biotech, and so on in the life sciences. I think food is one of the main aspects that gives birth to these beautiful synchronicities. I mean, look at us. We began by sharing a plate of sushi, and here we are 2 years later.
Food brings communities together. We know that
Absolutely.
for a long time. Cooking together, eating together, working together in order to bring that food on the table brings people together. And it seemed it happened for us too.
Absolutely, and I'm entirely grateful to you and to the universe to have brought us together. And one of the aspects that I want us to talk about today is how sometimes people ask themselves, okay, but what does this have to do with agriculture? And thinking about this, when we're surrounded by this, the movements and the changes in this world that we live in, I believe that the legal system is meant to, ideally, to support people and startups, companies, SMEs toward supporting their communities, to give back to communities and to support their communities to thrive. So since food is an incredibly essential segment of any community, of any human being on this world, I think this is one of the ways in which we can support communities, ensure their food systems. So when we're talking about the startup ecosystem, I believe that it's a very important aspect to ensure that what they're trying to do with their products and their services is something that is legally supported, is supported by the by national and international regulations, and this is why I wanted your expertise today. I know that you are incredibly strong on building legal strategies, and this is what I want you to share with our audience today.
Of course. Firstly, I want to mention exactly what you touched upon in the beginning, which is law is, or it's supposed to be, from my perspective, an instrument that helps people, that makes people life better, that supports them in their work. So when we look at the law and the legal system, we should appreciate it as such. We should consider it as such. We should not think about it as an instrument of sanctioning, of an instrument of blockages. If we look at the law as an instrument to make us thrive, we will use it as such. And it's not only about startups or about agricultural companies, it's about the entire business sector. Law is there in order to help make our businesses better and to guide our businesses into thriving, into growing revenues, into helping our communities making better. So yes, law is and should be an instrument of help and not an instrument of oppression. And about the internationality of law, that's extremely beautiful because my main educational preparation is in international contracts, compliance, and arbitration. So since very long time, I liked this international environment, in international world. And what I liked about it is that it has their guidelines. So it has its own rules and framework, but it's much more open than a normal, static, national legal system. So when you go out in the international world, there's so much more you can do. But because of that, you have to always be more careful on the legal parts of your business. Because if in the country, in your own country, you have your rules very well established, so if you miss something, you go to the law, you apply it, you have the rules. And in the international environment, you need to make the rules with your partners usually. And the rules are your contracts. The rules are your sheets. The rules are your paperwork. The rules are your regulation that you talk to with your partner. And I love that. It's about collaboration after all.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the most important aspects when the government is involved in any kind of relationship, that everything is expressed clearly and, of course, with empathy. I think this is absolutely essential in any kind of collaboration. So I know that you recently, and we'll talk more about your services and your expertise in providing startups with a legal strategy and frameworks to thrive in these ecosystems nowadays, whether they're in any industry, whether it's agriculture or not, focusing especially on software, since there are a lot of startups that are focusing on softwares. And I will want us to touch on how, what's your expertise on dealing with the hardware aspects, if it's applicable to ensure IP, intellectual property, and any kind of copyright for their technologies or for their softwares or services. I know that from professional experience, we have a product now that we're focusing on reforestation, and we are in the process of patenting our solution. So I want us to touch on that. I know I will definitely, it will be definitely something valuable for me, but as well as for the rest of the founders that are listening. I know recently you came back from a visit from the United States, and you visited the University of Berkeley.
Yep.
What was your experience there, and how did you feel there? How did that environment inspire you, and how did it make pieces fit better in your mind and in your strategy?
I think I will repeat myself so many times in this discussion, but
Please do.
definitely,
Emphasis.
definitely, having a community to support you and you giving back to the community, it's essential in all businesses and in all our world. I mean, it's not just businesses, it's our normal day-to-day life. Having the community to support your choices and yourself in what you do, it's something that you need to cherish. And when you have it, well, keep it. Don't let it go. And I think this is exactly what I felt when I went there, that there's such a big community of business support, something that it's like almost palpable with your own hands. And you go there and everyone is like, you can do it. I'm here to help. Whatever you think, go and test it. Don't stay. Don't wait. And you're
Act on it.
I'm like, oh my God, wait. And you know, how our mind is doing and how we were used to here was like, okay, let's see, let's put on paper, let's make plans, wait a minute, let's take our time. And they're like, no, don't take your time. You take your time after. Go, test, see if it's something that you want to lose time with, and after put the time into planning, into doing guidelines, into doing timelines, into doing timesheets, whatever you want. So first is just go out there. Don't wait. Don't lose time with preparations, with, you know, things that has to come after. And this support of pushing you continuously to go out there, wow, it's everywhere you're going. And I think it's also because of the place. So yeah, it's San Francisco after all. It's the Bay Area. We know that there is the apogeus of tech development. Because I've been in other places of the US and you don't necessarily feel the same. But there specifically, and this I say to everyone now that I meet and all my friends entrepreneurs, I tell them, if you want to feel what a business-prone community is and to feel inspired, just go there. Go there for even 2 weeks as I went, but even more, and you will see what that means. You will feel it. You will feel so inspired and you will come back so full of energy that the first thing you will do, it's do something. Like you come home and you're jumping into doing. You're not going to wait anything.
I love this so much. I mean, it is indeed the birthplace of innovation.
Yeah.
And what I also experienced while I was hearing you now is, again, the openness and the desire to move from talking about doing to actually doing. And from personal and professional experience, I've become a disciple of the saying, done is the engine of more.
Yeah.
So the more you do, the faster you do it, the more you learn. And then you become closer and closer to having an improved solution, because of course perfection is a very subjective thing. So
you still have some guidelines. I mean, you know, no one throws you out there, out in the open and go and test something that you don't know.
Yeah.
But they put much more emphasis on actions than on writing down things. Writing down comes after you confirm yourself some theories. So the framework is make some assumptions based on what you want to test, on your target clients and the needs that they have. Make an assumption based on whatever you know. And this is where your written down part at the start has to stop. Once you have this and you know what you want to test, because of course you have to have a small plan. You can't just go out there testing without knowing what you want to test. Yeah. You go there and test these theories. And only after you've tested, and I'm not talking about 10 people, 40, 100, 200 people. So this is where what you have to do in the first 6-8 months of your startup. Not planning, not looking for, money. No, in the first 6-8 months of your startup, you should go and test assumptions. Come back after in the office and do whatever else you have to do.
I love that. Test assumptions. It's one of the pillars of a startup, to actually go out there and test things, to test theories, to talk to potential customers and get to tailor the product
Actually, I tell to my clients when they come and say, oh, I need legal advice. It's like, okay, great. Before going and jumping into the legal advice, tell me what's your status of your company now. What are you doing now? Like, do you have clients? Do you know who your clients are? Did you confirm your assumptions? Do you have a plan for the next years? Do you validate anything? Do you have a business model? Because if you're in the stage of validation, there's no point in paying me and paying other legal professionals because you have no idea what to ask me and I have no idea what to tell you. You don't know what you're going to sell. So if you don't know what you're going to sell, I don't even know what I'm going to advise you about. So it's pointless. But I think here it's a lot of discussion about the legal education for the entrepreneurs, which it lacks here at least. We have not so many webinars and trainings about the real need of legal in a startup world and from what point on. From my perspective, until you don't validate something that you want to do, there's no point in discussing about even anything else. Let's leave legal. Let's talk pricing. You cannot put a price if you don't know what you're going to sell and to whom. It's definitely not. There's no point in discussing marketing, sales strategy. Useless. Stop right there. Stop to the assumptions. Get out of your head. Go out. Yes. Confirm or change.
Share a need that you've identified within this ecosystem. And I heard the need for legal education for startups.
Definitely.
So startup founders are nowadays from ranging in their teens all the way to, 60s, 70s. And I love that. That's admirable. I mean, creativity never stops and it should never stop. It should be an ongoing process to be creative and to learn, and lifelong learning is something that I'm deeply rooted into. And you mentioned legal education for startup founders. How would you see this as a initiative or as a starting point from your perspective, if you had to, spitball today about your work, because you already support startups with this. You have a newsletter, you have workshops and webinars, and you support this community a lot already. And how would you go about this into scaling, streamlining this to make it more accessible?
I think it's all about more people doing it first, because, I am one, I can do it, but I cannot make it accessible to everyone up to a certain point, right? So if we're going to be more that are going to give information to the community, more people will reach this information. This one. Secondly, for me, all accelerators, incubators, startup programs, everyone should have this legal component. And most of them have. But it is something that it has to be there. I am a mentor for the Rubik Hub in all their free programs of acceleration and incubation. And it is an essential part of the accelerator, and not even accelerator, incubator. From the incubation phase, you should know what to do with this legal part, not to get legal information, because as I said, when in the incubation, you might just validate your ideas, but you should know what that means, how legal can help you, and when to be prepared to take up legal in your budget and take up legal as part of your activity. And we reach to the legal strategy, which again has to start with a very incipient part of the life of a founder to know exactly what is going to do and how they're going to use legal in their timeline in order to make their startup work better.
Absolutely. I mean, we're together in the Rubik Hub program, and I am entirely supportive of having this component. I know that this is why one of the reasons, among the many reasons for which they are successful in it. And I have seen firsthand how much they benefit from the authentic conversations that have been opened there. Yeah. And when it comes to the legal part, okay, so maybe some other startups can maybe wing it, and when it comes to marketing, they can, okay, I'll do it myself, because again, bootstrap startups are very common nowadays. But when it comes to the legal part, you can't really trust, I don't know, winging it.
Yes. However, what you could do is know from the very beginning when to start being prepared. And I think this is very important. So let's give an example. You want to start today a company, right? And you have the assumptions that we talked about, and you want to go out out there in the open to validate these ideas.
Yeah.
But you have a plan, right? You know that you're going to be out there for maximum 3 months, 6 months. You don't want to lose 3 years validating something that you don't have. So then you know that after these 3 months, something else might happen. If you validate the ideas, maybe you will start grabbing data. Maybe you will start putting a name on your company. So we talk about trademark, or maybe you will start concluding contracts with people. So again, we need to put legal out there. And you have it on your paper. Okay, so after 3 months, I have to revise a little bit what I'm doing and see what's my plan and see where legal comes. After, you do the other option. If you don't validate, it's okay. You don't have to get someone legal in your team. If you don't validate, you go more on the validation branch, and you go further. But you need to know, you need to be prepared. Because if not, you might lose opportunities.
Absolutely. I'm hearing a lot that has to do with awareness and knowing where you are in order to know what you're asking for.
Definitely.
All right.
These and opportunities. For example, I had a case in which a client of mine wanted to register a trademark. There was some funding for the trademarks, and every year there's some funding from European Union that helps entrepreneurs to register the trademark. Mm-hmm. But this funding is limited, so it's on the first come, first served basis. And if you're not there when you have to, no more money. Mm. At the moment the person redecided, the funding was not anymore. Mm. He had luck, but of course you don't want your company to be based on luck. That it was refunded this program immediately, I don't know, after 1-2 months.
Oh, that's great.
Right. Yeah. You were able to redo it, but you didn't know. It was just pure luck.
And something that just popped into my mind right now, you mentioned this EU funding for supporting startups with their trademarks or even patents, maybe.
Yep.
I'm wondering, from your perspective, what can be done to create more awareness on a regulatory level so that more funds are made available for startups like this? I know it's a tricky question because
I think first
regulation.
Yeah, regulators should work closely with the business system first of all.
Yeah.
Because law in general is not just, some knowledge out of nowhere that came on the earth to regulate our behavior, right?
Our existence.
It's made based on the behavior of the people, on the behavior of the businesses. This is actually how law is formed. You observe the behavior and you regulate it, at least in our civil code system. So for regulators should really watch closely the business environment and see what is there, the triggers, the challenges, the opportunities, and it should regulate accordingly. And the regulators should be more visible for the business system to know exactly what's happening at the regulator level. There shouldn't be two independent systems that don't know about each other. They both should work together. And if they work together, of course, awareness is there. Let's say, essential issue here is how do we reach to more startups, small and medium enterprises? Because, you see, when we talk about regulators, they're very easy in connection with bigger players on the market, which is normal. It's how it should be. Google, Meta, and all these businesses are making our life easier every day, but are also part of very much of our life.
Absolutely.
So this happens also with other bigger companies. So of course the regulators are very much in connection with bigger companies. My concern and my focus is how to bring this information to the SME medium and to the SME world. And this is where us professionals, we come and cater for this need. We bring information, we talk about it, not by newsletter, but everywhere. So everywhere we talk about it. Podcast, LinkedIn, TV, newsletter, blog, YouTube, everywhere we should talk about it because information is out there. This is what actually I want to underline, that people don't know. There's so much information out there. For example, if you want to register your trademark, if you go to the website of the institution, you have all the information there.
That's great.
And it's not the only institution that provides information for free, but few people know it. So this is where we have to come in.
Absolutely. There are two things that I'm hearing from what you just said. It's the fact that it's important to be vocal, to be present in people's eyeballs and their ears in the forefront of their minds, especially as professionals in our segments, that we can provide this information to within this environment, because knowledge transfer, knowledge sharing is extremely important. And one link that I made in my mind was when last year I was part of this work task force that was created by the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, from the United Nations, where they were drawing the private sector into the discussion. And we had these great workshops where we were talking about agriculture and about regulation, as well as how the private sector engages with the regulators and across continents as well. My expertise was based on the European Union and the United States and a little bit of Asia. And it was incredible how helpful that was. And the second thing that I heard you saying is that it's really extremely important to make this information available to founders, because from my own experience, I noticed that some say that, oh my God, no, we have to pay a lot of money for this. And as you said, there's information that's free, and as long as they are aware that they can come to experts like you for help, I think that's extremely valuable.
People need free information, and after there are some topics that you can cover them in payable instruments, payable webinars, payable ebooks, because not everyone needs everything. And I think here is maybe the mistake that we do when we think about what to share and not to share. There's this information that it's common for everyone, and for me it's more common sense to exist there for free. And even, let's say, institutions share it, as I said.
Yeah.
Entities, NGOs share it. So I find it even strange for me to ask someone to pay for something that they can find free online.
Ethics, yeah, that's
And after,
important pillar.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's on the website of, let's say, the European Intellectual Property Authority, and I'm putting it in a course and I'm making people to pay for that instead of writing on LinkedIn, hey, you can find the information there, just click the link. But if in this payable material I give use cases, I talk about jurisprudence, I talk about legal recommendations coming from, a professional, that's different because this is core professional information that you cannot find other way around. So yeah, you can do it both, but as you said, I think ethics help us to split the two and make them both, and everyone is happy.
Absolutely. It's really important to be aware of this aspect of what you're comfortable with sharing, and there's so much knowledge, as you said earlier, that's out there, especially with content creators nowadays. And sometimes I think one of the risks is that there are people sharing information out there that may not be specialized and it may not be backed factually. So this is why it's important to go toward thought leaders like you. And I think it's a great aspect that you mentioned, that the separation of the two aspects, the foundation that every startup should have for a healthy business.
Exactly.
At least to be based on something. When you have a healthy legal base, it's your startup can actually thrive.
And you know what to ask, who to ask, when to ask. It's so important to know all this, because if you don't know what you want, no one can help you. And it's true in every aspect of our business, not in legal, only in legal.
Absolutely.
For example, if I want something about revenue, if I don't know what to ask you, you're going to tell me, okay, I am a full encyclopedia about revenue. Tell me what you want. I cannot just stay here 2 days to tell you all my knowledge, right? I need to know how I can help you. And it's in legal as well. As a mentor in our programs, we do the webinars, which is legal foundation, legal basics for startups. And after, we offer the opportunity for who wants sometimes to have a short one-to-one to go more in depth in their specifics, right? So you cannot talk to everyone about each particular subject, but you can talk about the basics to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed you mentioned the program that we're both in as mentors, and when you tell people, you show them that you are a subject matter expert and that you are open to receive their questions and their requests. It's something that I did when last winter when we were both live there. I mentioned the whole revenue operations and the processes necessary for a startup to thrive, at least to have the foundation for a healthy revenue system. And I opened the door for them to come here. This is all that you need. Tell me where your startup is and come to me with the areas you believe you need, and I will complement that. So it's really important to actually know that you, first of all, have that door open to experts like you and to know what you want.
Yeah. And it's if we talk about business and we go back to businesses, this helps your business as well. I mean, I hear many people saying, oh, but why are you mentor there? They're not coming. They're like, clients are not coming. They're not becoming your clients. So why do you do that? Well, it's interesting because you do it first because you want to bring legal education to people, as I talked in the beginning. So you are not following any specific goal from this. You're just, legal education is needed in the business world. And this is something that on the long run will make my practice better, because I will have people more legally prepared that come to me. This one. And second, without even wanting it, by presenting your expertise in these programs, by showing how open you are, by showing yourself, you show your set of values, and sometimes you click with some people that later, and this happens usually, like later in time, not immediately, 2 years, 3 years, when you don't even expect, those people come back to you and tell you, hey, remember 3 years ago, I know you from this program, and can we work with you?
Absolutely.
And this is the magic of it.
Yeah, and I think that's how you know your tribe, your people, the people that you actually want to work with. And it gets me back to the aspect of qualification. So I think in business, you have to qualify your clients, you have to qualify your advisors, your consultants, your clients.
Yeah.
Who do you want as your client? This is one of the aspects that I provide workshops on. And I think what I just heard from you is that the right people, the ones who are genuinely interested and thirsty for knowledge, will come back to you because you will have made an impression in their mind and set yourself as the expert and the person they would feel comfortable going to for support. And this brings me to the aspect of communities. And again, we spoke about this at the beginning, although I would be curious to hear more about how you intend to bring people together within the legal environment.
Yeah, that's that's an interesting topic because I have in plan, but well, you have in plan after life happens and you have it still in plan, but that's something that I said I will start to put it in action after my MBA finishes. I'm doing an MBA for the last 2 years. I have my presentation in the middle of November, and after I am done and ready to put my mind only to my practice. So what I want to do is a community of people interested into knowing how to make your business thrive from the beginning. And, like knowledgeable entrepreneurs, let's call them. But those knowledgeable entrepreneurs that maybe they're not that much out there. You don't see them. You don't see them on events. You don't see them on the stage. They're just somewhere in the backstage doing their job, trying to make their business work. These people I want to bring together.
Yeah.
Because these people are also in need of community, are also in need of knowledge, and they're usually the ones that are thirsty about learning. And once you bring these people together, having in mind also the values that they share, they will help each other grow. And I'm not talking about legal, but of course, me as I'm in the field of legal, I will want to push this part of legal into it, but there's so much more. It's all the components that a business needs, transposed it in fundamentals.
Yeah.
And, to have entrepreneurs that know from the beginning where the road will go and what they will need to pay attention to. Not to do it from the start, but to know where to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
And I'm not talking about those entrepreneurial courses that teach you theory on you have to do that and that and that and that, and you finish and you have a diploma and everyone is happy. No.
Like one size fits all.
No. So, you need to be out there to talk to people that did this, to find about use cases, to know what can happen, to know what can go wrong, what can go good, and from there to create your own timeline.
Absolutely. Like, do it your way, as Frank Sinatra said.
Yes.
Yeah. I love this, and how most of our conversation is focused on moving from talking about doing to putting that into practice. And I was just this weekend in a very interesting cultural festival where the focus was on praxis, on moving beyond words and beyond theories, beyond concepts and strategies toward implementing, toward doing. And this is something that's connected to the actions, the movements, the tactile part, the sensorial part. And of course, I think agriculture has a lot to do with that. And especially when it comes to bringing energies together, when we're talking about inclusion, especially when we're including categories of businesses or industries, and of course, when we're talking about women in entrepreneurship. And this is something that, because we connected, that workshop that we met through was from the Ladies in Business from the island. So this is something that's at the core of the AgriAlly initiative. And I would love to know your experience and actually the valuable lessons that made you the amazing human being that you are today. And I'm not blowing smoke here because I know your work and I know your efforts and your approach. And what is something that you would recommend or advise listeners, whether they're women, girls, or kids, youth looking to go into technology, science, engineering?
Yes. So I will focus on lessons that I would do if I was to do it again, let's say. Because it's true, tech and engineering and science are domains that in which women don't appear that often. It's harder, let's
Here's
say.
hoping we change that together.
It's harder to get in, but it's not harder to get in because someone, I don't know, really blocks you all the time. Okay, there are situations where you really are blocked physically because of different situations, let's say. But most of the time, you are mentally blocked. And mentally blocked, not even by others, but by yourself.
Cultural beliefs. And
Yeah. And cultural beliefs and your education and what you've been taught in family, what you've been taught in the school, what you've been taught at work, everything. So I would start with saying that if you just feel that you are part into that world, go for it. Because if you feel like you are part in tech, in science, in engineering, or in any other domain that you feel like you want to tackle it, go for it. Don't even ask friends, mom, boyfriend, leave them. You go and tackle it, and only you will be able to know if you like it or not. Maybe you won't like it, and that's okay. And this is what we have to discuss, that if someone tells you don't go and you go and you don't like it, you shouldn't be feeling ashamed or sad or no. You should be proud because you tried and you excluded something that would have made your life miserable if you haven't tried it. So, whatever you do, it's a moment of celebration. You try it, you don't like it, amazing. You leave it. You don't have to deal with that anymore. You try it and you love it, that's perfect. So this is my first lesson, because for me it started 10 years ago. So, when I left to my master's in Switzerland for international contracts and arbitration that I talked about, everyone was telling me, where do you go? You go alone. What are you going to do? You're not used to. You speak English, but, it's not so easy. There they speak French or German, all the reasons not to. And I was very stubborn, and I'm like, okay, I'm going. Everyone was shocked, of course. And that was the best decision I could take in my whole life. That's the moment my career started, my personal life started, my mentality started to shift and to change, and I just boomed in development. So, yeah, go out there if you feel it and try it. This one. Second, if during the course of your development in one of these fields, you encounter some blockages, which you will, because life happens usually in these domains. Again, go your own way. Go around, go over, go how you want to go, but keep going. Don't stop because, okay, you might feel bad. Go and talk to a therapist, go and talk to your friend, go and talk to whoever is there for you to make this moment go away, but don't stop.
I love that so much. And I'm happy that we're doing this together, because one of the pillars of the AgriAlly initiative and community is providing the support and the platform, the space to come with these questions. And I know that now that you are part of this initiative, and I always say that every speaker and contributor to the initiative is an ally of agriculture, science, technology, engineering, and maths, data, entrepreneurship. And this is one of the most amazing things. And there's a saying that I heard a while ago that shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces. And when we have space to talk with professionals like you, I think this is the first step that any entrepreneur can take to create their healthy business and thrive.
Definitely. And I would say to anyone out there that if you see someone that, looks, and it is successful, achieved a lot, women that, present themselves as for what they are, don't think that they haven't been through some, experiences. We've all been through experiences. It's just that we had each other and we were there to move on. We were ready to move on. Like, I don't think I've ever talked with any of my women friends for one not to go through an experience that was not that amazing.
Or life-changing.
Or.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, just go for your dreams. Don't stop. Find your community and move on with what you want.
I love that so much. It speaks to my soul. Thank you. And one aspect that I would like to hear from you, what recommendation do you have for any resource, book, podcast, or connection, or practice that people can integrate, entrepreneurs can integrate to support them in that, whether it's, again, discussions like ours or...
The thing that helped me to connect very much with the day was waking up and start with a coffee and reading a book. Instead of, jumping in the shower or jumping at the computer or, whatever, you jump directly into the day. I almost every day, of course, I'm not succeeding every day because of things that I have to do, but almost every day I have a book and a coffee. And that's what I do for very few, 20 minutes, half an hour max in the morning before starting to prepare for the day. And this helped me to focus and to not feel stressed or anxious about what's coming.
Amazing.
It made me be grounded.
That's great. I love that. Thank you so much, Anna. And again, I thank you for your time and energy. I hope to mark this episode as the first of many to come where you'll share further your amazing experience in the legal system. Thank you so much.
Thank you again for the invitation.